Out here in the wilds, you see, you have my my wonderful what my wonderful bear costume. I'm just making sure that I'm set up for the surrounding system, so I don't get attacked. But I have some wonderful tourists today to show around a little bit of the Proving Grounds wilds. So let's go ahead and bring our well-paying guests in here. Got to make sure they get what they pay for. Oh my goodness, he's got sunglasses too.
You got sunglasses?
You know you need it out here.
Sunglasses. Hello?
Hold the picture. Hold on. We gotta
Can I
wait
drop
till
my
we get to the right
sunglasses?
place. All right. Hold on. No. Also, there's a few rules here. No feeding anything you find in the wilds. No food allowed. You may bring water. You can hydrate because gamers, that is important. But no food. You can take pictures though. All right, so let's go ahead. We're gonna start walking into the wilds here. Everybody got their water. Everybody's ready to go.
Wait, I don't have my camera.
Well, hurry up!
All right,
We gotta go.
Go ahead.
I'm on a tight schedule here. I'm on a tight schedule.
sorry,
All right, the
I'm sorry.
wilds are crazy. All right, so the first thing we're gonna come upon now. This one is a tight one. So there's a splash zone around this one, so you got to be real careful because
I'm already wet.
you see, Violet from the Golden Guardians, the man from down under, comes through clutch. Yeah, I know you like that one. Yeah, see, that's what I get paid the big bucks here as a tour guide. So we're gonna see how this one unfolds as Violet. Again, get your splash visors ready. Pictures allowed, but be careful. Your phone might get in some trouble here. So as you see,
Oh God, they're going at it.
it's a little bit crazy here. You taking pictures, right? Because it's about to happen. It's about to happen because Violet makes the play, and Jan unfortunately is caught in the crossfire from down under. So I hope you got your pick. Okay, good, Rafa. I thought I saw your camera backwards, but I just wanted to make sure you guys are paying good money. There's a
those
lot
are
of
great
time
pictures,
investment
man.
in this one. So splashes aside. You already see the ruthlessness in the wild that this guy brings, Violet. We're gonna keep seeing this unfold because, some may say Team Liquid Academy have a big presence out here in the wilds, and they did for a little bit in that one little iteration of a game we just had. But in all actuality, Golden Guardians were covered in clutch, and it comes off the back of a little bit of craziness, the wild side of the Stallion and Team Liquid Academy. But let's see how this one unfolds here, shall we? We'll see Violet again. No splash zone this time, but just some ruthless play in its own right because he can obliterate people. Make sure you got your cameras out now as well.
I'm taking pictures, buddy. I got you.
Is this
What a
is
great
this a battle
See?
for like territory
This is
or like
why you pay
mates
the
or?
big bucks. No, this is Team Liquid Academy coming into the Golden Guardians Academy estate and trying to stake claim to it. You can't do that. That's not the rules of the wilds here. Like, Rafa, do I see some food in your hand? Okay, he's got his camera in your hand. All right,
Relax,
good.
relax.
Just
I
making
wouldn't
sure.
bring
We
food on
can't.
the tour.
You cannot feed the players. You can't. They get their own segmented meals. All right, just making sure. All right, so the last one I got for you. This one's a little bit despicable. This is what you do when you're trying to leave somewhere very quickly, and we're gonna see how this one unfolds because Golden Guardians Academy somehow just shoot Team Liquid Academy right out of their base.
But I don't want to leave my base.
Well, you know what? You're gonna have to leave pretty soon because this is the last stop on the tour.
Oh.
John, again.
Ooh, that looks like it hurt.
You mess with Violet once, what happens? You get the entirety of Australia coming down upon you, all right?
Oh my God.
Australia's a lot smaller if it's just Violet and Ryoma, but doesn't make it any less scary, man. I was
Exactly.
always
It's
worried
pretty,
about
it's
being
pretty
a
darn
tourist down
scary.
there, but
I do believe my time is up now. You guys got what you paid for. Take a couple more pictures. You want to, we maybe
Can you
have a
take a
little
selfie
segment
with
on the
us?
side. You can get. I don't think so. I got stuff to do. Jeez, I can't keep a straight face. Thank you, guys. Make sure you tune in again. Make sure you come back for another tour. The environment doesn't pay for itself. So see ya.
bye. Thanks for the tour.
Bye, Smokey Bear.
I feel like he was really well camouflaged, just in general, for his ability to
I
like
mean, he's living out
hide
here in the
in.
wilds. He's got to be careful, man. If it's
Yeah.
that crazy and that back and forth, I mean, you don't know what can happen out there, dude.
True.
Crazy.
I mean, just the entire game, it felt very slow from Team Liquid, right? Like they were trying to play the same kind of setup that they were going for over and over and over again. But eventually we hit the point where, I called out LeBlanc as being one of the big things that didn't care about your Ocean Soul. The other champion that doesn't really care is the Kai'Sa, right? Because
Yeah.
Kai'Sa two-shots you. It takes like half of your HP every single time. And we got to see that even with the Ocean Soul, even with the even gold lead, we said, yeah, there's objective bounty for Golden Guardians, but who cares? We have Kai'Sa.
Yeah, honestly, I think we're gonna need our host Mazel to break that one down. I don't know where he went. I think he missed out on the tour. But Mazel, Mazel, hey,
I did miss out until you guys got on the boat and left without me. Like, what?
Look, that's what
Yeah,
happens if you
I
sleep
had
in.
a
You're just
ticket.
chilling in
I
the green room.
literally
You're
had
on
a
your
ticket.
phone
Where's
being
my
like-
ticket? I had a ticket.
well,
Gosh, my goodness.
suck.
I just, that tour guide didn't sound very good though, so I'm glad I kind of missed out on
No.
it. But you guys got what you paid for. And the fact of the matter is, I'm gonna say it if you are gonna say it, we got a series on our hands, Rafa. I'm not a caster today, so I have the right to say it. My goodness, what a slapback from Golden Guardians. We knew it was coming. Joshi, you called it the first game. We knew it was coming. We just didn't know how.
Yeah, it's never over between these two teams, right? We've seen how close they've been historically. We've seen how strong both of them have been. Golden Guardians started off the season, and I wasn't convinced they were the real deal, but over the course of it, they just kept winning and winning, and at some point you got to say like, these guys are pretty good at League of Legends. Maybe we should pay more attention to them. And the time is now.
It is now. It is now. Rafa, your energeticness in that last game was so nice. I gotta ask you though. This is a crazy one, right?
Yeah.
And looking at the way Golden Guardians came into this second game, it didn't look good at the beginning. As you were kind of mentioning, like they missed the soul. And it didn't end up mattering. For Team Liquid Academy, it feels like a lot of the resurgence can just come from some of that execution, though, off the back of that one.
yeah, I mean, Golden Guardians, I said it before, it's a test of endurance to hold out in a position where, Team Liquid, just one more fight, and that's all it takes to close out the game. They had like all the pieces lined up and ready for the strike, but then they turned around and said, no, reverse Uno, right? And then they're the ones that capitalize on one misplayed fight and then take everything. And I think it really comes from off the back of Violet's Kai'Sa performance, because it was the one thing that no one really expected. And now, just like he demanded in his performance after calling out, hey, I know I've lost to you guys before back on AG, but now it's different. Now I'm on a better team.
Exactly that. And speaking of being ready and being on a better team, we do have both those teams ready to go as Champ Select is right over the horizon. So, Rafa, Joshi, go ahead and take it.
Yes! We're taking it, Josh. He said it. He allowed us to take it. I think it's just gonna bounce back and forth between.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll have lots
odd
of
games.
opportunities. Yeah,
Odd games, we take it. Even games,
he
we're just
can
ready.
keep it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just ready. Well, we'll definitely have lots of opportunities to go. And one of the big conversations I've had a lot of time, Mark, and one of the things that we often see is if you don't have any primary engage, you just lose to Kai'Sa and Ziggs and anything that can just hit you from really far away, like the Zoe, right? And we saw exactly that. Team Liquid, they had Armeo and Ayla flashing after Violet and still couldn't really keep up to him. And that's one of the big things that we're going to have to see come through this time around as a difference in the way that Team Liquid are looking to draft. They need to make sure they can get to them, or they can just make sure, hey, don't get a play. Just take it off the board, and you don't have to worry about it in the exact same kind of way. And suddenly, the same composition that Team Liquid are running works a lot better if you aren't just getting peppered from, half a screen away every single time. Oh, I thought that was your camera.
Yeah. Yes, I went from taking pictures with my camera to drinking my camera.
Out of the lens.
Oh, it kind of does look like a lens. Well, as I was going to say about Team Liquid, when it came to Golden Guardians making the adaptations, their changes were specifically in what champions they picked. For Team Liquid, it was, no, you cannot have Kai'Sa again, Violet. Bad. No more for
Down.
you. And now this is going to test whether Violet can translate this performance onto a different pick. This time around, he is taking the Xayah, whereas Team Liquid are now the first ones to lock down the Hecarim.
Yeah, and Team Liquid are once again going to be going with the Hecarim, and it feels like the things that Team Liquid have been playing so far are becoming the priority picks. The Xayah from Game 1, where Jan had a fantastic game is now going to be what Golden Guardians are going to be trying to take away. Team Liquid also played the Hecarim to great success in Game 1, and Golden Guardians very quickly shifting away. They took the Hecarim in Game 2, and now they're going to be stealing Armeo's Volibear in Game 3, and the Ophelio is going to be coming back. Not something I was really expecting coming out from Yon.
Well, you know, Aphelios normally, when you look at this champion in other matchups, you might be concerned about the range disadvantage whenever he's on a green gun, but Xayah is a relatively shorter range marksman compared to others. And the Renata Glass lock-in for Ayla. Is this Ayla's first time playing this champion, Josh?
It looks like it. It might be his first. I definitely didn't have it written down because it might have been one of his one-ups, but this is something that we haven't really been seeing. It works really well with the Hecarim with the extra movement speed. You just throw it in and you fight or die. And the Aphelios as well. When you get that little bit of extra attack speed, you suddenly become super, super dangerous regardless of what kind of guns you're actually going to be playing. So I really like the pickup here. Now, of course, I know that some people, you know, like Cubby, are just saying, just continue playing the top bench. You don't really need to play mommy in any of these games. It's going to be a situation where you can just kite back and you don't have to deal with it. It really struggles with a lot of really heavy engaged champions, but so far, Golden Guardians don't have that.
Yeah, Golden Guardians, outside of the Volibear, and even then, as we saw in the late game, the Volibear gets often plagued by getting outran and out-kited by a lot of champions because movement speed and one jump, as cool as it looks, is not going to be enough to close the distance when we get to the 25-30+ minute range. For Golden Guardians, though, they want to start taking away other ways that Team Liquid have been able to disengage from Golden Guardians' engage attempts, one of them already being the Vex off of Harry.
Yeah. We are also getting confirmation that it is the first Renata for Ayla. It wasn't one of the many one-ups that he has played so far during the regular season. And as again, we are seeing a lot of pinch coming down towards Tony Top's champion pool. I'm expecting a Camille ban. Here is one of the other champions he has put a lot of time into over the course of the season. We have to note that he's really only played 3 champions way more than anything else. The Gwen, Camille, and Renekton. And with Gwen largely taken out of the meta, it really forces Tony Top onto some less comfortable things. His answer last game was the Aatrox, but we also know he's got a Jax in his back pocket.
And that Jax is something that you don't want to mess with. It is one of Tony Top's more tried and true picks, even from his solo queue days. When you go back to 2020, where he first made an appearance at Scouting Grounds, it was off of picks like that. But the Seraphine,
one of my favorite champs.
Oh, it should be support then for Chime at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine Tony Top playing a top lane, but that would be some spicy
he's played Lulu top.
True.
Yeah. I would agree with you that Seraphine top would not be the schmoove.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting pick coming through because both of these bottom laners, I feel like, serve very opposite purposes to each other, right? Seraphine is looking to get the big encore across the entire team, whereas Renata just wants to get the takeover and make sure that nobody can hit. And so they basically both throw these really big ults at each other, and it can really dictate the fight how many people you catch in each of them. But this is also, Mark, the other thing we talked about was whether or not Harry would be willing to throw it right on back with the Ahri into the LeBlanc, and he's willing to do it this time with the Vex off the table.
Yeah, if the Vex is gone, then Harry is throwing down the gauntlet, and the Ahri LeBlanc matchup is so volatile here. And outside of this Jace matchup, potentially on what Tony Top locks in as the counter pick, I really want to put all of my eyes on the solo lanes this game.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure coming through. A huge skill matchup in the mid lane, right? This matchup can wildly swing in one direction or the other based on how well these two mid laners play around their ranges. There's nothing that Ahri has that can contest the chains coming out from Ryoma. But if you ever go in and the charm actually lands, Ryoma's going to be taking a buttload of damage coming out from the Ahri, and that makes it super, super difficult. But now, as you said, both solo laners are going to be really focused on trying to find advantages, because if either of them fall super far behind on either team, it becomes super deadly for everybody else.
And also now the volatility has extended towards the top side of the match between this Jace and Tryndamere. Early on, you know, Jace can be pretty difficult to lane against with the ranged poke and the harassment that comes out, but then once you get access to the Undying Rage, that matchup heavily swings in Tryndamere's favor, and then it is Bradley that needs to be careful walking around.
the big thing that is going to be the make or break up here in the top lane is the junglers, right? If Tryndamere gets ganked too many times by Armeo, there's no way that Tryndamere ever gets into a position where he can start to threaten Bradley even after level 6. And Iconic has not spent a lot of time trying to help out Tony Top so far in the series. In fact, he hasn't done so much this entire season. So if Armeo can leverage that, can use the fact that Iconic is not likely to be top lane in order to get Bradley ahead, we're going to potentially see a snowball coming out from Bradley, the likes of which we have never seen.
As we're loading up onto the Rift, I want to point out to our viewers that which they will see in a moment. In game 1, when Armeo had the Hecarim, he went for the phase rush, indicating that he was going for a tank style build, and he later picked up the chem tank. Armeo has gone for the Conqueror, so that means that the one person that could have potentially been a front line is going to be a relatively squishier champion for Team Liquid, which then means that Team Liquid don't necessarily have a durable front line come mid-game as long as Armeo isn't excessively snowballed ahead.
And they're going to have to be really careful about actually playing that through, right? Because going up against Seraphine, there is a ton of burst shielding and healing coming out on the side of Golden Guardians. And Team Liquid, I think they're one of the few teams that are disciplined enough to play against it, and they definitely have practice playing as it. We've seen Team Liquid bring it out last time around, and when you have that kind of pressure and understanding of how to play with the Seraphine on your own team, it gives you a lot more appreciation for how to drag out these fights, how to pick your targets, how to make sure that you're not blowing all your damage into the parts of Golden Guardians that are just going to heal it up a moment later.
So, just to review this point, Golden Guardians with the Seraphine composition on their side, it's going to be very difficult as we get to the mid and late game if Team Liquid don't have the discipline or don't show the discipline to play against in those extended fights. But in the early game, a lot of pressure is on Hayri and Bradley to either have insanely winning laning phases or get the help from Armeo to go for Tony Top. And I know, Josh, that's an E-star for Bradley.
That's surprising. That is a very long cooldown. It's like 20 seconds, and you can only use it when you're in hammer form. In fact, the acceleration gate does almost nothing for you at level 1 as the J. So that's a very committal start coming out from Bradley, and a bit surprising to me that he is going for that. It says to me that they don't expect Armeo to come up, and Bradley wants to make sure that he doesn't lose this level 1 too hard, because that is one of the few times where Jace is actually weaker than the Tryndamere. Is just your ability to get on top of the Jace as the Trynd and kind of pray for crits allows you to be really aggressive at level 1. And so Tony Top taking some control, but not able to get the wave all the way in.
That does mean that Bradley gets access now to both his gap closer and his disengage trading tool at level 2, which is, I mean, I'm not a top lane main, and I don't have the knowledge like you do, Josh, but normally whenever I've ever been autofilled to top lane, it's usually the QW start, and it's like, okay, well, some trades might be playable because he can't push you away early on, but now that changes things up in the top lane.
Yeah, it's definitely a very different style, right? Bradley looking to minimize any losses, and we have to remember that he is a mid laner turned top laner, and while he did play a lot of top lane champions in the mid lane last season when he was playing for a wild card, it is a situation where a lot of these matchups, he comes at them with a fresh perspective. He's not necessarily locked into the way that Jaces have been playing this in the top lane in the same way, and now as both top laners are seeing their junglers come top, we are seeing that Bradley is trying to get this wave underneath the turret so he can actually buy himself a back timer.
And it also helps secure priority for Armeo so that Iconic will not check or contest him at the top crab. But because he is getting the earlier reset, I imagine that he should be the first one to the punch on the bottom crab. And that really just means that I'm not expecting too much action from the junglers so far, because it seems that the full clears have already happened, and at this point, they can more than likely just return to clearing at this stage in the game. So I think we're all, you know what, never mind. I take all that back. Iconic says, I want to lock down Yon and at least force a flash, but I'm getting debated. And yeah, that's same mindset, Yon.
Yep. I really have to praise Alo once again for that last play. Just using the handshake, lockdown, chime, and make sure that there is no play coming through from Violet and his support just means that there's no opportunity for them to play, but they can find their own.
Whoa! The handshake handshake from Ayla locks down Violet and sends him right back into a stampeding horse for first blood.
That's just Armeo once again. Everything you can do, Iconic, I can do better. The Armeo Hecarim finding early leads, and also Harry coming out ahead in this skill matchup. Just as we were saying, there's lots of play there, but just watch how Ayla is able to find this handshake after the root is there. There's nothing for him to do now, and by bringing him closer, the flash is not even available coming out for Violet. So easy first blood for them to pick up, and now Jan and Ayla and Armeo all accelerated, and if Team Liquid had the same kind of early game as they did in game 1, we're going to a fast game 4.
Now the question is, do Golden Guardians bounce back like they did in game 2? There's no obnoxious poke from Violet this time around, but I know Ryoma was just as involved and important to that success as Violet was for setting up the Void Seekers. And Ryoma right now, as you already laid out before, he's down in CS against Harry, but he's aggressively looking for these trades. He's got to be careful. Ayla is now making up his mark here. Harry willing to take the route because he knows that Ryoma has nothing else in the tank to follow up for lethal, and Ryoma steps away respecting Ayla's presence.
Yeah, and Ayla getting a little bit of gold, hitting the clone. Very happy to pick that up as well, but both mid laners now level 6, and with Harry up 10 CS is very strong, but relative to how he often is. And again, this is a matchup that has a lot of skill behind it. How well can the LeBlanc navigate the matchup in terms of actually keeping themselves out of range of Harry? And so far, it feels like the Fox has been getting the better of it. And when Harry finds these leads, you know he's going to be looking for things. But Armeo, hello.
A wild bear encounters a wild horse.
It's Mazel.
Or centaur. Yeah. Huh? It's Mazel.
Yeah, the bear. Did you not see it?
Uh-oh. Well, that's a flash from the bear, and Armeo instantly pops the ghost. Summoner spell traded for Summoner spell, and yeah, we're getting a lot of like debates where we're thinking, oh god, they're gonna fight, and then boom.
Nope.
It's dead.
We're chilling. Not a whole lot going on, and we are seeing Ayla consistently being very aggressive, and that's another handshake.
Whew. Well, that's not the handshake that you want to be making as Violet and Chime. They are taking a lot of damage on the receiving end.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that my dad always taught me about the right handshake is you just go for it and you be very, very firm. You look them in the eye and you make sure you are very respectful with the whole thing. Unfortunately, Ayla seems to have learned from somebody else's dad because he's been very violent with the whole thing.
Yeah, that's not a friendly handshake.
Oh.
That is the handshake that is asserting dominance, and very fitting for the Dami Mommy for Ayla as they are now making their approach for the dive. Armeo, though, is not going to pull the trigger quite yet because there is a bear that is looming around the corner here, but it's enough to force him out of the quadrant. Might look to yoink away this blue buff.
Yeah, Ayla finds the control ward as well as going to be clearing out some vision, and does put Iconic in a bit of an awkward spot now that he is losing some of his jungle to Armeo, and it just means that Armeo is again slowly building this small lead, and in fact, most of the lanes, most of the positions coming through for Team Liquid are slowly getting ahead, and I'm surprised that Armeo is feeling confident enough to hit this. He's got the prio in the bottom lane. His mid lane knows that Ryoma has backed away, and you know, if Iconic isn't currently chilling around in the bottom side right now, I guess he's not going to be coming over. So again, going to be Team Liquid finding the first dragon of the game uncontested.
Where have I seen this story before, John? It's like
Is it game 1 and game 2?
You might be onto something. Astute observation, Mr. Josh. Tony Top does have the undying range, but Bradley has the phase rush and the good old back swing to say, get off me.
Get off me for we. Yeah. Honestly, quite impressed with the way that Bradley has navigated this matchup, even after the way that Iconic and Tony Top went after Armeo previously, just remaining very calm, and now Iconic is going to be trying to do the reverse thing, but Chime is here.
Now, Iconic wants to clear out some vision before he gets out, but in making the engage happen, Armeo's going to push him right back on through. Iconic still has the Stormbreaker, but it's followed up on the Unstoppable Onslaught. Onslaught of Shadows as well. Harry routes off the bear, and Bradley picks up the kill on the Chime, and now the Rift Herald goes over to Team Liquid as well.
Oh man, looking like game 1 again, 3 kills going over, and this is a huge change coming up from Team Liquid. Last year when they were playing, and even earlier this season, one of the things that we always noted was that when Team Liquid moved for the Rift Herald, they would leave Yon down to the bottom lane. That's what they did earlier on when he took that 1v1 against Violet. They would leave the AD carry down on the opposite side of the map so that he could farm while the rest of them fought for the Rift Herald. But this time, they throw Golden Guardians off balance by bringing him up, having that extra member, and that prevents Ryoma from walking in and actually fighting the 4v4 on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, throws off Golden Guardians in their attempt to turn around the fight, thinking that, okay, we have an assassin on our right flank. We're setting up the fight. Bro, where's my assassin? Oh. Well, this is awkward now.
This is awkward. Yeah, and even though it does give over about a wave of advantage to Violet, it's not going to be the make or break for the game, right? The fact that 2 kills went over for Team Liquid makes Yon's movement worth it thus far. And the thing that we got to pay attention to, Mark, the thing that has made Team Liquid so good this series is their ability to play around these upcoming dragons. They get there first, they get the mid lane pushing, they get the bottom lane pushing. They are in control of the vision. It is 3 minutes away from the second dragon, and we'll see if Team Liquid can continue their streak of dominance of taking every single dragon that spawns.
And if you're Golden Guardians, especially as a fan, you are looking to Ryoma and Violet, who surprised all of us in Game 2, the amount of damage that they brought towards the mid-late game. Can Golden Guardians show the same endurance that they exemplified in Game 2 so that they can hold out? I don't know if you can pull off similar stuff on something like the Xayah, but with the lethality build, you will throw out similar strong poke.
Yeah, Yon's taking a lot of damage though, and Ult goes out, not quite going to be getting a root or anything, but they will still crash the Herald, trying to make sure that Yon can get to that mythic before the actual dragon starts. And now, as we are seeing the total flip-flop again, Armeo Iconic are mirroring each other. Ayla, good charm. Ayla and Chime are mirroring each other over and over again. It just feels like every single time one of these guys show up on the map, the other person is right there, ready to answer. And slowly, Armeo, because he farms faster, is getting this extra camp every single time he goes for a gank.
It's just starting to loom a small but slowly increasing advantage over Iconic. And you know, the thing about the Volibear Hecarim matchup, especially since Armeo is going down the Bruiser style build with either this Trinity Force or Divine Sunder build, Armeo is going to be a stronger force to contend with, whereas Violet, it was a game of chicken, just to see, like, are you gonna pass your ulti? Are we gonna trade ultis here, or are you just gonna look at me funny?
Yeah, definitely not something you want to be trading as the Hecarim, but hey, Bradley needs to leave. There's a Hecarim, excuse me, a Volibear and a Tryndamere, and they both do the dragon so well. But instead of leaving, Team Liquid going to make sure that he's not in danger. They're moving Harry up right away, and it just feels like Team Liquid are moving with such purpose every single time they move around the map. Yon now has the completed, almost the entire bottom lane turret. He's got the Gale Force, and he's trying to make sure that he can cycle his gun so that he can have the most effective combination for the upcoming dragon.
Yeah, the fact that Golden Guardians have not been able to find any advantages of picking off Team Liquid in these roams and rotations just goes to show how efficient and how effective the movements from Team Liquid have been. Every time that they've gone somewhere, it's either neutralizing a potential attempt from Golden Guardians for a pick.
Nice charm, nice charm!
Oh, does Harry almost lock him down? He has the Spirit Rush. Ryoma might be forced to use his flash here to distance himself.
Nice,
he
Harry!
can't outrun the Orb of Deception, and Harry all the way back from Gravitas versus Bombers back in Season 9 OPL. Harry is able to proudly announce that he is the better mid laner in this 1v1.
And Ryoma's been the better mid laner this entire split so far during the regular season. He was such a strong laner. He's constantly the one who is fighting the solo kills all on his own, but sometimes that Hubris bites him, and Harry now turning it around. The rest of the setup doesn't matter for Team Liquid if there's just no mid laner to play with, and
oh, this might be good, though, from Chime. Yon dodging out on the Encore with the Gale Force is going to buy some time. Ayla cannot withstand the damage of the burst, but Yon, still undeterred, is able to kite out Iconic, forcing the flash out as well as the Stormbreaker, and Yon is able to survive the remaining 1v3.
It's going to be a big fight again once going over to Golden Guardians. No perfect game being threatened here by Team Liquid this time around, but they are still in firm control of the game. They have the engage tools necessary. Jace, again, is going to be scaling well into the game with his poke, but they need to make sure he doesn't go down. And I feel like the fact that Harry fighting this solo kill all at once is going to be giving them so much pressure on the map in ways that they weren't going to be expecting to.
4-1 now for Team Liquid, a 3,000 gold advantage here, Josh. Let's take stock at the state of the game. It's Ocean Soul once again, but I feel like Team Liquid have learned from their lesson in Game 2 that as they start preparing for the Dragons, there's not as much obnoxious poke coming out from the side of Golden Guardians this time around.
Yeah, and, you know, we said that last game it was the Blanc and Kaisa who are burst champions, like, yeah, we don't really care about your Ocean Soul, we're going to kill you too quickly. There's still a little Blanc, and that is still scary, but it's 0-1 now. It doesn't even have the assist like it had last time in the game, where he was able to create enough pressure in order to make the other team scared. It feels like Team Liquid don't care about it nearly as much as long as they can stack it up. The Ocean Soul is way more relevant in this game state than it was in the last game. And now Team Liquid trying to convert a lot of the pressure they had on the bottom side into this top side. Again, instead of leaving Jan in the bottom lane to try and lane against the Blanc, they're moving him into the mid lane. They're taking control of the Rift Herald, and the Team Liquid macro is looking so clean.
Having slowed down Ryoma's acceleration on his first Mythic, and he hasn't been able to complete it yet, even before the 16-minute mark, gives Team Liquid so much breathing room going forward into the game, because they know now that by the time they look to contest Soul Point, Ryoma will not be threatening them with the 3-item LeBlanc like he did in Game 2.
Yeah, so right now it is just going to be a lot of the lanes, a very standard rotate bottom lane to mid lane, leave the 80 carries there. They will be fine to wave clear for now, and it becomes a big game on the side lanes. And the top lane has been relatively quiet. We said if one of them was going to be getting a big advantage, it would really put the side lanes in serious jeopardy. But neither top laner has been able to build an advantage against the other. The CS is very even, the levels are very even, and the turret health is also very even. And yes, you know, the Jace is strong early game, but he's also very strong late game. And the same thing is true of Tryndamere. He becomes very, very difficult to deal with because he's got a guaranteed amount of time that he's going to be alive and hitting you.
Got to make sure that he is sticking on top of you, though, for Team Liquid. And for the most part, this is a very mobile team. So that if you cannot lock down Jan outside of burning his Flash and Gale Force, then it's going to be a tough time for these threats from Tony Top and Ryoma to stick on to their targets. As Team Liquid are setting up for the next Dragon here already, you can feel the pressure.
Oh. Harry getting jumped on by Ryoma. The horse is here as well.
Oh, will they wait for Armail to dip into the bush? Oh, the timing might be great from Golden Guardians. They see that Armail goes into the bush, and Harry thinks that he is safe. But great patience from Golden Guardians, able to get the pick. And Tony Top will also find the isolated 1v1 against Bradley.
Good stuff coming out from Golden Guardians across the map. Tony Top just fighting the 1v1 finally. And then, of course, Ryoma and Iconic waiting for Armail and Harry to start doing the window shopping, putting them into that false sense of security and taking them down. And I feel like, Mark, now that we're in our game 3 of the series, now that we are at the spot that would have been match point previously, both these teams are just here to play, and Armail should run him down.
He should have the movement. Oh my goodness. Well, that is Trinity Force Sacrifice with a ton of damage.
Ton of damage, and as we get a bit of a replay here, I mean, you 100% know that in the moment, Harry is looking at his shop already, right? It takes him long enough to respond. Something goes wrong. He sees the edge of his screen flash red, and that's when he realizes he's getting attacked. But this one, this feels like the difference in having the Gale Force, right? A lot of, you know, Hullbreaker Tryndamere couldn't do this. You would not be able to do this with like Kraken Slayer Tryndamere. This is the thing that comes through when you have that extra dash. The one Thundering Blow is not enough, and it gives enough pressure over to Golden Guardians. But now we're back into the playbook of Team Liquid, Mark. The Dragon spawning in a couple seconds, and Team Liquid are here first.
Ryoma doesn't have teleport either, so already that speaks to me that Golden Guardians are not in a position and are not looking to be in a position where they will contest this third Dragon of the game. It's going to be Soul Point, though, for Team Liquid now that Armail gets to solo it comfortably, but Golden Guardians at least are trading in terms of turret pressure on the other side of the map.
So we'll see. This game feels very even. This game can still break in one way or the other. Team Liquid, I feel, are slightly favored, but not so favored that it's unblunderable. And this is where a lot of the veterancy between these two teams really comes through, right? And we ask, you know, who has played at the top level in their region? Armeo, Harry, Ayla have all done so, right? We have Ryoma who has done it. Iconic has been in the LCS, and Chime, of course, as well. And, you know, with their brief stints, we've also seen every single player on Golden Guardians at least have a couple of games in the LCS, even this season alone. And so all these players are very comfortable.
Team Liquid currently sieging in the mid lane. Trying to get some poke down onto Violet. He is able to at least withstand the damage. But now the Rift Herald. Oh, hold up. Yawn might be routed off here. He's lost his support. Ayla's been held back by Iconic, and not even the hostile takeover comes in soon enough. Yawn getting routed off. Huge for Golden Guardians. If they get this other one, this is going to be huge for turning the momentum in their favor.
Yeah, the fighter die doesn't matter. Ayla getting a couple of extra pistol shots on the backside, but Team Liquid are routed.
Harry, okay, he's gonna pop the teleport. Maybe he'll be able to get out alive. The crits are not strong enough. Harry will be able to survive. Armeo is under the tower, but he is slightly squishier than your average tank horse, because this is Trinity Force. He does a ton of damage, but he can also receive a ton of damage. But he is too fast. Josh Ryoma still wants to close the distance. Double distortion. He gets the Sigil of Malice, and the shutdown goes over to Ryoma.
And that's just 3 kills getting picked up by Golden Guardians out of nowhere. We praised Team Liquid for the ability to play around these objectives. They've gotten every single Dragon Belt won in this series, but when there's no Dragon to spot up, Golden Guardians are able to find some of the cracks. They find people who are out of position, and that gives them 3 straight kills and even more than that. Yawn thinks that he's the one playing this, but it's actually Violet who's creating some space, and Yawn just finds himself too far forward. Everybody else dies in their effort to try and collapse and save him. Look how Armeo and Harriet were both in the wings. Neither of them were able to get there, and as we see the last bits of this top lane turret go down, we note that this kind of play coming out from Golden Guardians keeps them in, whereas Team Liquid were just slowly building up all their objectives in what is the standard macro of League of Legends.
Yeah, Golden Guardians is taking great advantage of noticing the very short but exploitable windows where Team Liquid, a member, is too far forward. They're overextending their welcome without the rest of the support of their team members guarding them and ensuring that the siege goes well. And Golden Guardians don't drop a beat, because they know how dire it is. They know how important it is to find a way back into this game before it gets to the point where Team Liquid start picking up Ocean Soul, because if Golden Guardians are not in position to contest it, Team Liquid get that, it is a much harder game than it was in Game 2.
And you know that Team Liquid and Golden Guardians are both thinking about the fact that this is upper bracket finals. A win here guarantees you top 2 in Proving Grounds. And that's the kind of thing that these teams are looking to play for. That is what is riding on this game. You want to be able to do that. You want to have the extra time where you don't have to play stage games, and you want to be able to win at the end of the day. And so as we watch these guys come through, as the mounting pressure and the tension of the series continues to build, this is when it's really going to be the teams that you are going to be focusing on are going to rise to the top, because this is when things that are normally things you have to pay attention to, things you have to think about, it becomes more and more muscle memory for the players. And look at how both teams are trying to find their way to set up.
Tony Top does have Undying range. Might look to push in this wave, and if Ryoma sticks around, they can make this dive happen. Tony Top can absorb all the turret damage, but you already see Bradley forcing out the Undying Rage early before Ryoma gets a chance to be in position. Armeo, on the receiving end, he found a Wild LeBlanc that he wasn't expecting, but it doesn't matter because he gets out scot-free, and Bradley Armeo are able to thwart the dive that Tony Top and Ryoma were looking to set up.
Oh my god, that's so many cooldowns blown on both sides, just out of nowhere, right? And so now we have to keep track of what is down. Yes, Tony Top ends up dying, but the bigger issue is that he doesn't have any summoners for the upcoming Ocean Dragon Soul, or Ocean Soul Dragon. You know what I'm saying, right? Team Liquid, they really don't blow a whole lot for that. Armeo's ultimate is going to be up a couple of seconds after the dragon actually spawns. Bradley won't have Ignite, but he still has his flash. In fact, almost every defensive tool on the side of Team Liquid will be coming up relatively shortly after the dragon actually spawns, and so they are way happier with this situation than Golden Guardians are.
Yeah, and when you look at the trade that is expended between the top laners, it is so so much more valuable for Team Liquid because Bradley as a Jace, there's no ultimate cooldown. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm cycling, you know, spells, basic abilities. For Tony Top, the Undying range not being available right at the get-go for Ocean Dragon hurts so much for Golden Guardians and being able to actually threaten the backline with this Tryndamere.
Yeah, look at the damage coming through. Even though it gets mostly healed up, that's the kind of thing that is going to be consistently pumped out by Bradley. Team Liquid are here first, but Tony's ultimate is almost up.
Ryoma tries to go in for some poke, but he's the one that receives half his HP as damage. They have the sweeper. They identified the correct clone. They shut down Ryoma. Bradley's
Let's
the
go,
one.
Harry!
And Harry with a beautiful charm flash will lock
Tony.
down Violet despite the Featherstorm coming through. The mid laner for Team Liquid leading the charge for the rest of the horses and the cavalry of Team Liquid to rampage through. Knocking out 3 might not necessarily lead to the dragon, but the Baron is the prize that they want.
They're going to be able to probably pick up both if they want it, right? Look at the fact that they can still move around the map. They can do this so quickly. I don't know if Iconic does it quickly enough on the rest of the map, but the big thing here, Ryoma comes in a little bit too far. There's enough mobility between Harry and Bradley to shut him down. And remember, we were saying there were issues with trying to get to the backline last time with Violet, but Harry's like, what issues are you talking about? I'm going to be going for it. I'm going to find it. And now Team Liquid are trying to fight for the Ocean Soul as well.
Back to live, Iconic barely flashing the charm. As you pointed out, Josh, Iconic could not solo the dragon fast enough before Team Liquid bolted on over after just picking up the Baron. They get their cake and they're gonna eat it too. Both Baron and Ocean Soul secured for Team Liquid.
Oh, Ryoma looking for any stragglers. He's not going to find anybody. Even Bradley is going to be able to get back to base at the very end. Team Liquid, it feels like this time they have the soul and it matters way more. But the crazy thing is, Mark, there's objective bounties just now coming up for Golden Guardians. Riot Games has finally decreed that Golden Guardians are in fact losing. And this is a situation where suddenly Team Liquid, it feels like they have the surrealness. They've gotten this Jace to the crucial 3 items that he needs. Ahri's on such a large spike as well. And the only person on Golden Guardians who has easy times playing is going to be Ryoma, but he's getting chased down.
And there was a brief glimpse in the mid game where Golden Guardians were giving us flashbacks to game 2 where they surprised us. They took Team Liquid, you know, by an unexpected manner and being able to force a comeback in their own right. But it's Team Liquid that learn and adapt from the shortcomings they had in game 2, persevering through the potential upset that Golden Guardians were looking for.
Root.
And they get the 2 objectives, and now in their stead, they're the ones in dominant control. Tony Top was looking for potentially a dive, but Harry, thanks to Ocean Soul, just heals it on back up. Oh no,
hello.
Tony Top! That's not the push that you wanted to jump on over for with the blast cone. Armail's gonna follow through with the onslaught of shadows. The fear clips him and Tony Top goes down.
And that is a total of 3 times that Tony has died in this flash cooldown, right? He died going down to Bradley originally. He died in that last fight around the Ocean Soul. And then he dies because he gets caught out by Harry and Armail. So I didn't think it was a particularly relevant death. I thought the flash cooldown was going to be more important. But this is the kind of thing that Team Liquid can do when they recognize you're missing tools. They are going to punish you. And now Armail off on the side, he's split pushing because he can just leave Bradley with the rest of the team. He doesn't have teleport.
Yeah.
He's just got this big gun. He's going to be hitting you from a long way away.
And Trinity Force, Sheen, empowered auto attacks are going to rip this turret through shreds. Ryoma was looking for a flank, but Team Liquid immediately suss him out. They send him out the vents. Back to the base you go, Ryoma.
Yeah, that's going to be a bunch of turrets going down as well. Armail crashing these, and you got to be a little bit careful. Oh, pulling him back through the door.
That's a lot of damage for Iconic. They take him out. Team Liquid will annihilate the one frontliner from Golden Guardians, which means it's only Chime that can keep them alive. But it's not going to be enough healing coming through for the support of Golden Guardians. It is Team Liquid that are marching into the base of Golden Guardians, ready to take game 3 and put them at match point.
The poke coming through from Team Liquid is absolutely disgusting across the map. Tony kills him.
That is the first time I've seen the hostile takeover where it results in friendly fire and team kills for an enemy opponent. Team Liquid in dominant fashion will ascend to match point and take us to game 4.
And it feels like Team Liquid, when they are getting destroyed by this Kai'Sa from long range, have figured it out. They're running around on the sides. They are taking down individuals. They are making sure that they set up. And it's on Golden Guardians to upset that balance that Team Liquid have set up. Again, they've gotten 4 dragons in the or every single dragon in the first game. They got everything but the Elder Dragon in game 2, and now they've gotten every single dragon in game 3. That, I think that leaves them at 12-1 at this point across the entire series. They're controlling the objective so incredibly well, and Golden Guardians so far, their only answer has been Kai'Sa.
And now Golden Guardians find themselves with their backs against the wall. Had it not been for the miraculous hero making from Violet and Ryoma in game 2, where they stalled out, they kited out the engage, and punished Yawn without the rest of his team to support him in the assassination attempt, you know, Golden Guardians would have already been knocked down to the lower bracket. Team Liquid would have secured their spot in the grand finals. But Golden Guardians thanking their stars that they held out this long, but now you have to wonder, what is their play? What is their adaptations that they have to make going into game 4? Because, you know, it's no longer just, okay, we need to take away this champion and take away this champion. It's from a holistic gameplay point, because Team Liquid have been neutralizing every single attempt that they have tried to make in the early game.
Yeah, it just feels like everything that Team Liquid is doing is just kind of outpacing Golden Guardians by and large, right? We're seeing that they're winning most of their duels. They're winning most of their skirmishes. You know, with the exception of a couple fights in that last game where they didn't set up quite properly, it was a situation where Team Liquid are rotating faster, they're rotating better, and so it's just on Golden Guardians to try and find some way to prove that they are the ones who actually need to go to winners finals.
Well, Golden Guardians, this is what can be the breaking point. Can you bring us to a game 5? Or will Team Liquid ascend to the grand finals and secure their spot as our top 2 finalists in Proving Ground Spring of 2022? We'll find out when we come back after this break and our post-game show with Mizell.